Go live. You ready to go? All right, everybody ready? We will call this meeting to order at 7:05 p.m. Sorry for the delay. Looks like we have all members present. We'll stand and have the Pledge of Allegiance followed by invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father God, thank you for allowing us to join tonight. Father, I just ask that you be with each and every one of us. Father, we ask that you send rain our way. Our land is thirsty here. All of Central Texas, all of Texas. Father, just send us some sort of a cold front with a little bit of rain shower. We'd be so grateful. Father, just a lot would work too, Father. Thank you. Father, just be with each and every one of us tonight. Lead us, guide us, and direct us. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I agree, but I didn't want to be greedy. We'll take anything at this moment. All right, citizens communication. Mr. Cooper, did you want to speak on citizens communication or the agenda item?
Well, it's on the, I was going to, for the public hearing.
Okay, perfect. And he's all, so no citizens communication. Boards, commissions, committees, presentation, proclamations. Cemetery committee monthly update. Joe, you have anything?
No, one thing going on the cemetery is
too hot to do anything. I can second that. Item number 2, Tyner Memorial Library Board monthly update. Dina, you have anything you'd like to share about the library board? Good deal. That's good to have them here. Well, we appreciate that. Municipal Development District MDD monthly update. I know they have a meeting, I believe, Wednesday.
I think they're looking to do one on, is it August 16th? That's the date.
August 16th, Wednesday. So no one's here.
Whenever the court one is. Oh, August 22nd, I apologize. Is when they're looking to do a meeting.
I know they're actually been working with a couple of different businesses coming to town, talking about some grant opportunities for those businesses. Item number 4, Parks and Facilities Committee monthly update. Mr. Weaver, you got anything? The swimming pool did close week before last for the season. It was a good turnout this year. It was a really good turnout. We had lots of kids enjoying that pool. We got lots of work that we need to do to that pool, so let's keep that in mind in the next couple of years on grants. We need to concentrate on getting the lifeguards a little quicker, so we'll have a few more to go around. That way our schedule's not so crazy. Wasn't all like that, but it's a good, successful season. Lots of kiddos enjoyed it. Consent agenda, item number 5, receive monthly department reports.
So I'd like to stop here and and ask the council, we're going to try to get you all of these with the agenda packet, that way you have them. Now, because it is consent, best practice normally is that you just accept it, or if it's up to council to remove those to regular. So whether or not you'd like to just accept without hearing the reports, that is up to y'all. That would just be a motion, accepting the consent agenda as is, and then a second, and approving, and then we wouldn't be going through it. Just looking at efficiency in the council meeting, it's provided to you all in advance. Happy to share that update with you all if you want it, but then that would just be planning from our part to maybe move it to a regular, just because it's not meant to be on consent if you are hearing about it. Yes.
Yes, because you get the packets. We got them this week on what, Thursday? I think is when I got mine. That's pretty awesome. First time I've ever seen that happen. So the packets came out early. Everybody got theirs, or they had access to it online. It's uploaded on the web. Citizens have access to it. So all you have to do is look over your packets through the weekend, and then you come in here, instead of going through a 25-minute presentation of all A through G, you can pick any one of those you want out and move it to the regular agenda and approve the rest. Or you can just make one balloon motion to approve the whole thing without having to go through the whole report. So just trying to move things along here.
It is on the website, so citizens can see.
Yes, ma'am. Our goal is to have it posted with the agenda as we do.
Because
So
that was a complaint that people didn't know. what was
it's on there. It was posted on Thursday.
So,
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll say.
Mr. Weaver's made a motion. Ms. Cooper has seconded that. All in favor to accept the consent agenda as is? Carries 5-0. See, that's simple. All right, public hearings and ordinances, item number 6.
So to provide an update on this for you all, it was mentioned that earlier in one of your goals was to try to more than likely terminate the EDC itself and the half-cent sales tax that goes with it, and then take that sales tax, that half-cent, and then repurpose it back to the general fund. We did talk about the budget at the last meeting, and we understand that that is something that's going to be really something we focus on, building that fund balance. Right now, last I checked, that EDC has about $80,000 in it. The reason that you all have considered, at least to my knowledge, in terminating the EDC is because of the fact that we never did appoint a board. So that those funds have been collected, and I believe that this was something that was created, it might have been 2018, 2013. So those dollars have sat there, not used, not apportioned to any kind of project. I know it was the intent to use the EDC for other purposes, but we also have the MDD, and I believe that that will also just be more fruitful for us at this time. And using that half-cent sales tax going to the general fund is a better use of that money at this point in time for the city. So that's what this item is for you all.
So item number 6, we'll start the public hearing at 7:14 p.m. It's discuss, review, take any necessary action related to the approval of an ordinance ordering a special election to terminate Bartlett Economic Development Corporation and its associated sales tax, and adopting a 0.5% sales tax to be deposited into the general fund, resulting in no net change in the total sales tax rate. So like I say, the public hearing started at 7:14 p.m. We have one person signed up. Is this the one you want to speak on, Mr. Cooper?
Yes, sir.
Come on up.
Mayor and council members,
Yes, sir.
in my almost 5 years in public administration, if there's anything I've learned is once you get rid of the revenue stream, you'll never get it back. The Citizens Department at some point thought it would be a great idea to have an economic development corporation. If y'all don't know, an economic development corporation is that its primary goal is to bring businesses to this town. Without that, and by going to the MDD, then you are limited to the municipal development district, however that's out, and only in town. If we, in my opinion, if we do away with the EDC, then it's gone forever. And I understand that it'd be great to have $8,000, it'd be great to have 0.5% sales tax, but it costs money to get it in the first place, and it will cost money to get rid of it because we will not have a special election, and you have to pay for it. And, you know, as I hear and I listen, and the answer is because we never set up before, to me, again, that seems pretty short-sighted, but that's just my opinion. So I would ask y'all to reconsider that simply because once it's gone, it's gone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Happy to answer any questions that you all may have before you take a vote.
Well, I just like to come up into that. I'm good with it. That way it's set up, it wasn't set up, you never knew anything about it. And so there are arrears to pay them. How much is that?
It's over 300 some odd thousand.
That we actually owe that we.
So it wasn't actually started to be funded until about 2 years ago when Chief Holt, on his way out of city administrators, I had him set up the account, but it wasn't funded until Joseph got here, is when we started, I instructed Joseph to start dumping the quarterly allotment in there that we were getting from the comptroller. But before that, for 8 years previous or so, it was never put in there. So if we keep it, the city rightfully owes the EDC about $300,000+, which the city does not have. To dissolve it,
Because nobody knew anything about it.
I think the vote was like 17 to 13 or something like that. It was very low turnout vote. I'd have to go back and look at the election results. But if you keep it, the city's got to pay back that $300,000. Very hard to do at this point. If it goes away, the debt goes away with the city because the city, the money that's in the account diverts back to the city, back to the entity. So the debt would be washed away because, I mean, I guess the city could write a check to itself and just deposit it, same thing, but the debt would go away with it. The $80,000+ would divert back to the city, the revenue. And then the half-cent sales tax that is currently being pulled from the sales tax revenue to fund it would revert back to the city also, to the general fund, to our sales tax revenue. So it's not lost revenue, it's just basically renamed revenue.
I understand.
So, I mean, I know you do, I just want to,
I mean, I agree with you, the EDC could be great, but how do we pay back the $300,000?
it can be voted back in. I think you have to wait, so many years before you can
You
vote
do.
it back in.
And the other thing to mention also, because we do have the municipal development district. So the MDD allows the city to fund projects, or at least the board to fund projects, not only within the city, but also in the ETJ. That is only something that an MDD has. No other of the economic development corporations have that ability. So actually the MDD is a little bit more flexible for us to use as we're looking at incentivizing economic development, industry, jobs to come to Bartlett.
Can you say that one more time? This laws recently changed on that. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, I just read it yesterday.
Yeah, I just want to know, I mean, ETJ laws, I just want to hear it one more.
Oh, the ETJ laws as far as the annexing or
Yeah,
from,
yeah. I
oh,
don't want to hear what you said.
so the municipal development districts, at least it was written in the law. The ability to bring, so whenever you're looking at incentivizing a business, that business does not need to just be inside of the city limits. It can also be within the ETJ for us to use that instrument. With the regular type A or type B, it has to be within the city limits for us to use that instrument. The de-annexation, that is something else as far as it relates to ETJs. That's not related to this.
Right, that's how we know.
Any other questions or comments, citizens? Unfortunately, it wasn't set up 10 years ago. Everything would be rock and rolling. a lot like the MDD, wasn't really set up and ran properly until about 2 years ago. That's when they started doing things. That's why they got 100 and some odd thousand in the bank also. But, it's my thoughts, but
Did we close?
not yet. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, well, we'll close the public hearing at 7:20 p.m.
Close it.
Do they want to, is this where we take the vote? Because we need this for the election, right?
Yes.
Are
And then,
y'all comfortable in here? Because I can barely hear what you're saying. Y'all can't hear me?
Well, we can't get our microphones to work, so we're kind of.
I would like a more cushy chair. Like a lazy boy, maybe?
We will work on
You're
that.
referring to the year.
Avis will work on that, okay?
Thank you so much.
just to have our bases covered, can we take a record vote, a roll?
So we'll do a roll call vote on this. So, Mr. Gilmore, how do you? Well, we actually need a motion in order.
That's true, you do need a motion.
We need a motion or not a motion to put this up for vote.
We'll make a motion that we put the,
You may want to just read all of it
okay.
to approve from there.
To approving an ordinance ordering a special election to terminate Bartlett Economic Development Corporation and its associated sales tax and adopting a 0.5%, 0.5 sales tax to be deposited in the general fund, resulting in no net change in the total sales tax rate.
So Ms. Cooper's got a motion on the table. Gail Jones is seconded. So now we'll go to a roll call vote. Mr. Gilmore? Mr. Jones? Mr. Luna?
Just make sure we're clear, we're losing 0.5% for real 0.5%, right?
Yeah, so there's no net change. The 0.5% that goes to the Economic Development Corporation currently would just go, instead of going there, it'll just stay in the general fund.
So we're not losing.
And we're not raising anything either, which is important to know.
Ms. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver? That motion does carry 5-0. Looks like we will have the election.
Should I put the ordinance number in there?
Oh, no, you're fine.
I mean,
All right, item number 7. Regular agenda. Item number 7, discuss and review variance request for 300 Peach Street by applicants.
Yes, so this is we had a variance request come in. This is not a public hearing, nor is any action being taken. This is more so a workshop, so we're going to hear from the applicant on what they'd like the variance to be. This is related to what we have right now in our code for R1. We require 1,000 square feet minimum of living area, and then I'll let the gentleman speak about what he was proposing to bring, which I believe is in the range of 700 to 800 square feet. And I actually do have a clicker for it.
Oh, good, thank you.
Hopefully it works.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, thank you for having me this evening. My name is Reagan Richetsky, I live in Taylor, and we're here to request a variance for a house that we want to move here from Austin, Texas. This house was, we want to be placed at lot 6 at 700 West Peach Street, which is approximately a 10,200 square foot lot. I know the agenda says 300, but it's actually 700.
Yeah, I was looking at the county records and it's not clear because it doesn't have a 911 address just yet.
Well, the only reason we know is because that's what the title company came back with.
All right, good to know.
Okay, so currently, as Myra indicated, it's zoning R2, which is duplex and apartments, which also inclusive of R1 dwellings, which is what this will be. The ordinance, as mentioned, section 21.202, pages 171 and 172 of the city ordinance, the minimum square foot is 1,000 square feet. Also, the front exterior walls shall contain a minimum of 30% masonry. We're requesting a variance from those two particular
Requirements.
requirements. Sorry, I lost my last thought. I'm an aggie.
That's the shirt.
The house to be moved was built in 1946 on Town Lake, now called Lady Bird Lake. It has 747 square feet with hardwood floors throughout the house. It has been renovated. It's on a pier and beam foundation, which, and we've had an engineered foundation plan already completed for this home. This home will also be placed on a pier and beam foundation, or as engineers call it, a pier and footing foundation. And it will have a masonry skirt with either stone or river rock up the side for the crawl space that has a little vent area. So let's see here. Oh, it's hard to see. I'm sorry. You have in your handouts, you do have a picture of the house, the front elevation. This is where the house currently sits on Leno Street in Austin, and it's a stone's throw from the lake. The owner still lives in the house. It's supposed to be moved at the end of August. This is the north elevation as it would sit on the property on Peach Street. You'll notice the porch on this side that goes into the kitchen. That would be removed, as well as the front porch on this house in order for it to move, for it to be moved. This is the rear elevation. This is the south elevation as it would sit on Peach Street. This is the floor plan. The floor plan, as you see, is 4 rooms, got 2 bedrooms, a family room, and a kitchen and dining area. The 2 front rooms is hard to see as far as dimensions. I'm sorry, I apologize. I couldn't get to blow up any higher bigger than what it is. But they're 14.5 by 11.5 front rooms, 11.5 by 11.5 rear bedrooms. The house is 30 feet wide, 26 feet deep. It does not have a garage. This is a survey. I know it's kind of hard to see, but the lot would be the lower right-hand corner of the survey. I do have a better copy and I can provide that to you if you would like to see that. I can certainly email it to you because it's got the red lines that show what the survey lines are. We want to put a front porch on the home. So we looked at some options. We did not get architectural renderings because we wanted to make sure we were allowed to bring the house in before we get an architect to come in and draw the plans up. But these are viable options for us. You have the rock, which would meet some of the masonry requirements, but I'm not sure would meet 30%, which is the reason we're requesting the variance for the 30%. Here's another one with that incorporates rock and wood with a pergola, very craftsman style. One with decorative handrails, a good sitting porch, and another one with river rock. These are options we're looking at. We haven't really come down with a definite porch until we're until we know we can actually keep the house and move on to the property. This is a viable side porch option with that coming off that kitchen, and that would that's the only viable option we've been able to find so far, but we would continue to look if this does not work out for us. So in conclusion, we would like to move an existing home onto the property at 700 West Peach Street that is 747 square feet. We're requesting a variance from City Ordinance 21.202 regarding the minimum square footage of not less than 1,000 square feet and the front exterior walls containing a minimum of 30% masonry. We'd like to request a variance from those 2 particular requirements. We want to retain the historical integrity of the house. This house has a lot of windows, and for us, if we needed to add on to this house, it would take that uniqueness away from this particular home. The house will enhance the neighborhood, probably improve the property values around there, but definitely enhance the area. Like I said, the stone or river rock masonry skirting around the foundation crawl space will go all around the perimeter of the foundation. And If we put rock on the front porch or the side porch, it will match the skirting. And there will be front and side porch additions and continued improvement to the property over time. And we will have someone living in, will not be an income. We already have a person, to be my son. So, we respectfully request that y'all, take time to deliberate and, take our request into consideration. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to, hearing from you. Thank you very much. Y'all have any questions?
You have any questions for the gentleman?
So to add on like a laundry room or anything to make that over, it would just make it look,
Right, we actually play with some designs, and
it just takes away from.
for 253 square feet, it would change the entire shape of the house and look of the house. And we met, my wife, Penny, met, one of her many majors, A&M was in architecture. So she actually played with some designs and said it wasn't feasible. If we did have a laundry, there would be we would probably have detached laundry because of the shape of the house. It's made. You would lose a lot of windows.
So this item's going to be back on August 28th. We will be, sending out notices, placing a notice on the property itself. And luckily now I know exactly which lot it is. So we'll be able to do that, send out notices to 200 feet within that property. And so then we will have the official public hearing on the 28th of August, as well as the action item as to whether council will approve or deny the variance request.
So then, just so you know, I know you know where it is. You know where Arthur Mason's house is? The lot right beside him in the middle street and then the Ford house. That lot right there.
So the corner of Cottrell
Yeah.
and Peach.
Can anybody explain why the city has a requirement of 1,000 square foot? Is there something that's behind that?
It's just old ordinance. I mean,
There are houses in town that aren't 1,000.
there's a lot of houses in town that are not square.
Yes.
There's a lot of lots in town that are not that don't meet minimum lot square footage standard.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
I'll need the light or no light, Philip. Yeah, I'm about to.
any other questions for this gentleman? Don't hold the shirt against him, guys. He's really a good guy. Have a good conversation with him the other day.
Thank you very much.
We have another meeting on the 28th. Is that when this will be back?
Yes,
Okay. So on the 28th, right?
yes,
Same time?
August 28th,
7 o'clock.
All right, thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's good. It's good meeting you and best of luck. We'll get it all
Thank you so much.
back on the
Have a
agenda.
good evening.
Thank y'all. Y'all can stick around or more than welcome to leave. If I had my choice, I'll stick around all night. All right, item number 8, discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to holding record vote for fiscal year 2024, recorded vote for fiscal year 2024 proposed tax rate.
So just as the wording here is a little tricky, but it's required wording from the state. So while it says proposed tax rate, this is really your not to exceed tax rate. So the limit you set today is the highest limit you can go whenever we all, on the hopeful August 28th meeting, we'll have the hearing and the setting the tax rate. So as an example, if you were to say, let's go with a full cent, then that would be the highest that you could go. We could not go on the August 28th meeting and say, I want to set a 1.05 as an example. So that would be, today it's what is the not to exceed tax rate that you're proposing? That's going to be what's going to be noticed in the newspapers and on the website. And then on August 28th is when you actually select the tax rate that you will be moving forward with. for the fiscal year 24 budget. And I know there's been some discussion on this one at the last meeting, just to provide you some options. So I brought them back here again. As we've mentioned, if we go with the voter approval rate, we're actually going to have to dip into our fund balance in the tune of around 30,000, I believe. Yes. And then, which is why there were options presented. Because we are a population that is smaller, we are allowed to go between the voter approval rate and the de minimis rate without having to hold an actual election. Now, there is the possibility for people to petition, and that is something that can happen, and then they would have to hold an election. But this is something that you had all done 2 years ago whenever we were facing similar challenges in funding the balance, in funding the budget to move forward. As you all know, there's a lot of priorities that we all have in order to keep Bartlett moving forward. As we talked about, bringing that third-party CPA so that we can get a better look at our actuals, and also getting a wastewater study done for rates, and possibly looking at creating a more formal 10-year CIP that could then help us in development as development comes, possibly setting impact fees, giving that as an option to the council, and looking at other types of fees that we can set forth with development as it's knocking on our doors. Eventually, we all know that with the Samsung plant in Taylor, we've already had a few developers looking to come into town. And it's just a matter of when for us and making sure that we're ready for it, and that development pays for development in Bartlett. And then the other thing that you all had asked to look at as well is the implementation of the AMI meters. And that's something that will cost around $200,000 to, I believe, $350,000. And we were looking at a 3 to 4 year phased implementation for that, which would be about $8,000 to $10,000 a month to purchase and install those meters at that desired rate.
But those meters are gonna pay for themselves.
Yes, ma'am. Those will bring in additional revenue. We're also looking at adjusting, or should I say self-rectifying again, the way that we do our CT meters, because we have not been using the correct multiplier on those. And so we're gonna have commercial start paying the required rate that they should be on some of those more, some of those meters that consume a lot of energy that are paying essentially what residents pay right now. And then also looking forward at bringing back the demand charge that I believe a council a few years ago had done away with, so that we can fall back in line with best practice.
Yes, ma'am. So, as Ms. Meyer has explained, is tonight we need to set the rate, the not to exceed rate. Okay. So you see the options here on the board behind me. Option A, option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe not 8, but
Don't get crazy now.
well, you got the NNR, no new revenue. No new revenue creates the same amount of taxes that we had last year. No new revenue. Voter approved rate brings us up, not a whole lot. The minimum rate, you don't want to go there. Option, nobody wants to go to 95 cents. Option 1, 55 cents per 100. Option 2, 6 cents per 100. Option 3, 6.5 cents per 100. 4, 7 cents per 100. 5, 72.5 cents per 100. Option 6, 75 cents per 100. Taxable value over here, the median average value of a piece of property in Bartlett per county records, per both county records, just shy of $100,000. Which I knew where they were, I'd buy them all. But that's what the county has on tax value at. This column here, the variable to VAR, the bold. If you go with this option, that's the amount of extra revenue that it creates for the city compared to current
To the voter approval rate.
voter approval rate. So,
Can you talk, excuse me, I'm so sorry, can you talk about what a election would look like in reference to raising a tax rate outside this variable?
If we were to, so because if we were to
Kind of
stay,
talked about it
yes.
briefly, yeah.
So if the council decided to stay within the voter approval rate and the de minimis rate, so that's between the 0.52 and the 0.95,
Mhm.
what would happen then is we would notice and we would hold a vote on August 28th to adopt that tax rate. From a election standpoint, there would not be one required. The only way that one would be required were if it was petitioned. I don't know the exact language on the petition. I think it might be 5 to 10% of registered voters in the county that voted in the last election. I think it's that specific, but don't quote me on that. That's it gets very, very particular in the law on that. But I think the comptroller's office would have that, at least what it would look like for a town of this size, as far as the language goes, as to what would require an election. Did that help answer your question?
It did. I've just been talking a lot with the Bell appraisal and the Bell attorney, the attorney firm that the county uses. And there's a multitude of property that is on the Bell County side that has at least 10 plus years in back taxes. And they talk about that specific to Bartlett, in the city limits of Bartlett, that the taxes owed per property is not, basically, their words, not large enough to mess with in reference to, and I'm kind of wondering, like, where is the balance, if you will, between getting it high enough where we can
force them to do something.
force them to do something, but at the same time, quite frankly, be a little bit more expensive to live here, quite frankly, and also force them to do something in reference to, I'm trying to get basically squatters off these lots, and we have a client that we're working with in reference to specific lot with this situation, and the attorney's hands are tied because they're working as fast as they can, but quite frankly, the properties that are in the city are still looking as if appraised at like nothing, if you will. So 10 plus tax years worth of taxes on these lots comes up to nothing. So we've got to find that balance between, we've got to raise these taxes, quite frankly, because we've got to find that balance. We've got to force them to do something like that.
You got a point. I mean, very, very valid point, because if they're going to spend money, is it MVBDA or MVBA? That's who most counties use in our area. For them to spend a lot of time and revenue, it's got to be worth it to them also. I mean, because they get a percentage of tax collected.
List after list after list of people.
We have two.
It's 30. There's 30 plus properties on the Bell County side that are 10 plus years back on taxes.
And that's a lot of prison beds, is what I told
Chief
the
Holt-
commissioner last time.
Chief Holt did his homework on it, and I asked him to do a little project for me. He went through the CAD, he went through all of it, and he sent MVBA and the county tax assessor the list and asked them to do something about it. Ms. Cooper followed up on her own time and own dime, and has done the same thing. And it's,
There's only so much the city can do, and I think that we have a responsibility to try to clean this up. All our hands are tied.
it's kind of like, and most of them are vacant lots. I mean, there's a few probably houses and stuff on there, but there are some houses on there. I know there is, but most of them, but they're very low value houses because they're dilapidated. But which means the taxes on those are $600-800 a year. On a vacant lot, what's it, $300 a year? Even at 10 years behind, it's only $3,000. It's got to be worth their while to go after. I mean, they're going after these ones like in Round Rock or well, okay, we'll go to Bell County. Belton, Temple, you know, the ones that are actually worth some dollars, you know, they're $300,000-$400,000 lots or properties or whatever like that.
So why can the city not take those vacant lots back?
I believe there is a process.
Let's start doing that.
We could muster a bunch of volunteers to help with that. Because here's the thing.
There's a legal process to it.
He's got an army.
I'm not as well versed on it, but it is something, now that I'm aware of it, that I'll look into, working through kind of the code enforcement perspective of it. I know that you can put liens on houses,
Yeah.
yeah, and on the property itself. And then it's something that I'll have to do a little bit more research on, just given that,
5 years and older, get it. Let's be done with it.
I actually have a client that I'm willing to pay Becky Cooper's expense to go in there and start, he is ready. He does it in Austin all the time. He is ready to clean the lots from the squatters. He is ready to move the toxic. I sent a letter to, about the toxic reports on these lots. You know, we're ready. We are just waiting for the green light.
I'll look into it.
The attorney is very aware of it, of Buckeye. We email, actually, they're comfortable.
I'll look into the process as to what it takes, because I know our collection rate's 95%, but there are those that do not pay, and not knowing how bad it was, that it was, 5 to 10 years. That's quite some time and back taxes there. So yeah, we'll look into it. Figure out what the
What do you
process
need from us to make that happen?
It'd be helpful to know the properties in question.
If y'all got a copy of the list,
Got that taken care
Is
of.
there a document that you need us to file with you, or is this as simple as an email to you?
Just an email.
any other questions about the setting the NTE on the tax rate? Any comments? This one I will need a motion on before we leave tonight. We're up against the time clock.
Yes, we are.
We've talked about it. We've got so many days to get this done. This is what sets our budget number. So we can finalize our budget and adopt our budget in the 28th meeting.
Yes, and someone can make a motion, someone can second, and that can then open up for discussion if needed, if somebody wanted to make a motion.
I'll make a motion, we go with option 6, the 0.75.
Mr. Cooper does have a,
That doesn't mean that that's what we're going with.
No, ma'am, that just means that
the next meeting.
you cannot be within those,
means that you couldn't go over 75 cents,
you can't go over.
but you can go under 75 cents. So Ms. Cooper does have a motion for option 6 here, which is the 0.75
Per 100.
per 100. 0.075 would be ridiculous.
Don't shortchange us.
0.75. Correction, 0.75, 75 cents per 100. Mr. Jones has got a second. Then we'll open it up for options, for discussions. Are you ready?
Thank you, ma'am. Option 7, 1.00.
Can I have an explanation of why we're not going to go for the DNR?
I think that triggers an automatic election.
That's what I was forgetting.
I believe it does trigger an automatic election. It does, the de minimis does create a $500,000 revenue, compared to last year's tax rate, but it is 0.94 cents. We do recognize that the median income in this community, I mean, while there are homes that are only valued at 100,000, there are homes that are not, and almost $1 to $100, that can be a big tax hit to some people. So again, we talk about balance. There is a balance to this as well. The city has its needs to continue moving forward, but we also recognize that the taxpayers do have limited incomes, and we need to be very cognizant.
Constantly in your house.
So we get that money, and then it goes to an election, and we lose, then we gotta pay that money back.
Yes,
So,
and then we have to stick with the voter approval.
There's a lot of
and the voter approval rate then is the.
You're absolutely right.
0.50.
For years.
Wait, so,
And I think we have to stop that cycle. at some
Got to
point.
stop the cycle. You're absolutely right. We got to rip all those Band-Aids off and start doing something, you know.
so if we did the de minimis rate and we lose, it goes back to the voter approval rate, which is 0.50.
.52,
0.52?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so then we're in,
Well, I just think it's gonna hurt at some point.
it hurts now.
I
It
mean,
hurts
it's gonna
now, but if
hurt,
you
and
see
it
our
is what it
budget.
is, and we haven't put ourselves in that position, but we've been put in that
Right.
position, and at some point, we gotta have new five, Chad, I know we agree on this, and.
Well, thank you for recognizing that, because I mean, you're absolutely right. We talked about this in our last workshop, is, yeah, going up to this amount of dollars is going to hurt. It's gonna hurt all of us. I mean, we got properties here too. It's gonna hurt us. But if we want to rebuild Bartlett, we gotta start somewhere. There's no magic money tree laying out back that we can go shake and dollar bills
It's all
fall
of
on.
the citizens' money.
It is.
If we have to go take out a loan, it's still the citizens' money. I mean, and you're dealing with people's money, and it's very,
So,
it's very intimidating to me. And I don't like dealing with people's money, but if you want Bartlett to change, we don't have a choice. We have to go. Yeah.
I agree.
well, thank you. Anybody else have any?
Now, I understand that we gotta go up in taxes because we need money, but I don't think it's right. It's like I told you the other night, it's not right for the citizens to foot the bill. We got citizens who've been paying these taxes. And they're not like the ones that aren't paying now, like you're talking about. They've been paying their whole life here, and the money wasn't appropriated right. So now they're gonna get punished again because we need money, and that's not fair.
Well, how do we fix it?
We can
Yeah.
raise it, but we don't have to jump to the top.
No, the only reason I said 0.75, that doesn't mean we're going with 0.75. That just means we can't go over that.
I understand that, and I know what limits do.
And why?
When you set a limit, it's gonna get close to it.
I don't know what, I just don't know what our other alternative is.
Sometimes I think solution isn't fair, but solution is at least moving forward.
When, talked last time about 0.625 or 650,
Exactly.
we can still get a third-party CPA or no CPA.
We can still get one, and that's just with the understanding that because I think the CPA would cost around 30,000, at least if we got the same deal that Holland got with the firm that they're using. The rate study, it looks like it'll be around 45,000. So that'll be water, wastewater, and electric. And then, so that right there is 75,000. Now, we did mention that there's 30,000 right now that the operating budget is going negative, at least for the fiscal year 24 budget. There's no way to get around it. So it is already going to eat 30,000 of fund balance. So when you're looking at these numbers, you see that the variable voter approval rate, you can look at option 1, 2, and 3. You can see those numbers in bold, automatically subtract around $30,000 from that. Just because that's what we need to continue moving as is with what we have. And that's not really adding anything else to that budget outside of that superintendent that we really do need to move forward.
So that's not including the superintendent.
It is the 30,000, that's why there is that overage in the budget. So you'll have to take out the 30,000. So if you're looking at option 3, which is the 0.65, that's 142 right there. You need to look at it as more as 112. So any number in bold. That's why the voter approval rate, when I mentioned that we'd actually have to dip further into the funds, it's because it doesn't produce enough for us to keep on going. It'll just make us dip into our reserves of what we have in our fund balance. And as I mentioned, the fund balance, it's not sitting where we'd like it. And it's something that we're going to need to move forward on in creating so that we can have a 3 to 4 month operating budget contingency.
Yeah, I remember you guys think about it. It makes sense last time about having like a 3 to 4 month.
Yeah. A rainy day fund, essentially.
Any other comments? Philip, anything, citizens?
Just,
be one catastrophic event away from not being able to pay the bills, so.
My farmer's almanac doesn't look very promising.
I'm just getting to understand, one understand, like you say, what we decide, it doesn't just affect us business, it's gonna affect us, well, we're in it.
Gotta put yourself aside though and vote what is right for the city, not what's right for yourself, not what's right for me, not what's right for you. What is right for the city, your neighbors, the people on your street, the ones that put you in office. What is right for the entire city across the board, not just a certain group. So that's what I would ask you to do, is consider is what is right for the city of Bartlett, for us to start rebuilding here, for us to, I mean, what can we, if we don't go to this rate, what can you X out of the budget and put off further down the line? That's what I would ask us to consider here before we
So we do the
Take a vote.
0.75, we'll get some of the projects done for the city, we'll have that revenue.
You'll have essentially looking at that 254, let's take out the 30, you're looking at 224. It would take 45 and 30, so $75,000 for the other things that we talked about. And then there's the implementation plan of the AMI meters. I would say it's pretty safe to say that you'd have around 75,000 there that you could start to allocate towards the fund balance. So then next year, as we continue to move forward, one, we're going to capture new revenue that we haven't seen before. So next year, when we have our next tax rate for the FY25, we'll more than likely have to be able to stay within the voter approval rate because we've now found revenue that we were leaving on the table. And when I mentioned that, I mentioned the fees that we have, our fee schedule. Right now, I believe the city, we set a new electric pole, the city's paying for all of that. Normally in other cities, especially with ones with MOUs, that is a cost that is borne by the developer. Right now, if we are having to do 3 or 4 poles just to get lights to a new lot, that's something that the city's paying for out of pocket, out of our own cash, out of the taxpayers. So all the taxpayers in the city of Bartlett right now are paying for that one property to have electricity get to their property, which we talk about fair. That's not a best practice that's followed by anybody. So that's one thing that we're going to look at. What are we doing right now that we need to change our practices on? So there's going to be some ordinances that are going to come your way in the future council meetings as we look at making some of these changes. We talked about the demand charge that was done away with. That's something that possibly needs to come back because we are creating the amount of energy we need, or at least buying that amount of energy that we need. Now, they may not use it, but if it's a high demand user, well, we need to be able to have it for the day that they need it. And so that's what the demand charge comes in. So they're paying a differentiation of what our normal residents have to pay based on what their high usage normally is. And so we've got a lot of industrial users out there that are using that
Because
level.
demand going on in business. Going on.
Yes.
The city pays for that.
Okay, because like he said, citizens are being taxed and that like misappropriate and all that wasn't done correctly or spent correctly. Like you're talking about the demand meter. I was on the council when that happened because I asked him to explain to me how this demand meter. It was just like nobody wanted to answer my question, but as I learned through being on the terms, okay, so that's what that should have stayed there. I made a bad decision, but I was giving them bad information too. They just didn't want to tell me.
Yeah. And then there's other things that we're also doing that we need to change as well. So we talked about the variable rate, the variable that we need, the multiplier that we need to apply to a lot of our accounts. The multiplier that we need to apply to certain commercial accounts as well. So we have some customers out there right now that are not really paying the fair share that they need to pay based on the level of use that they have of our system. And so that's the money I'm talking about that we will hopefully recapture moving forward as we make some of these changes, so that next year we're in a much better position and we'll then have hopefully some of that money start going into the fund balance. We'll be in a healthier place. And then as we look at other projects, then the city can be a little bit more, we won't have to be as conservative with some of the decisions that we're making because we'll now have hopefully some of that money
Right.
to start doing more things with it and being a little bit more proactive. Because as Philip said, right now we have a third party contractor that we have to rely on, and it's expensive to get them out here. And we've already had to call them out here twice. We're probably gonna have to call them out here again. That's a $6,000 activation fee, essentially every time that they come out here. We don't have the funds right now to continue that process until we work to get our lights on. But we also have the balance and the need from our residents to make sure that they have the power that they need to move forward with their days. So it's just this chicken and an egg almost. And it's a difficult position to be in, especially for this council to make a decision like this. But it's where we are right now. It's where we are today. And it's how do we move forward?
You got it now.
So we do have a motion on the table and a second for the .75. So,
This is a record vote again.
another roll call vote.
Oh yeah, we have Philip who stepped down.
So I'll just add, as a realtor, we look at property taxes day in, day out, and this is one of the lower tax bases in the tri-county area. And so I recognize that this is an important decision that you all are making, but, it's important to know that you're not gonna make this the highest tax base. You're not doing something that's gonna be out of line. You're actually still gonna be lower, in some of the other areas. And so this is gonna be an ability to bring Bartlett up. You're gonna have money to be able to improve the infrastructure, and you're still gonna be competitive. You're still gonna be in that situation where people want to be here because the taxes are still low.
Guys, we have a power outage going on in town right now that we're working through. So do you mind if we take Philip had to step out and get the keys for the bucket truck for the guy to take off. Can we take like a 5 to 10 minute recess at this time before we take the vote?
What time will we break?
And we'll break at 8:02. That way he's back for the vote, just to be on the safe side. We'll break at 8:02 p.m. So there's some snacks back there in the back if anybody wanted anything.
There's snacks back there.
Give us just a few minutes. We'll resume.
He might need my keys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute this.
Yes.
One more button.
Sun looks far down.
Did you go live? Got a hot mic. Y'all ready? Thank y'all for allowing us to do that.
Is everybody okay?
Everybody's fine. They just have to get some keys. So we'll reconvene from recess, 8:17 p.m. That's exactly 15 minutes. Good job. We do have a motion on the table. I believe it was Cooper made a motion. Gail Jones seconded the motion for the 0.75. We've had discussion. Any more discussion? We'll move into the roll call vote. Vote for, against, or abstain. Mr. Gilmore.
Against.
Mr. Jones. Sorry.
Sorry.
Mr. Luna.
I'm like 60-40, but I'm gonna go for it, because I know we need to get things done. Yes, it's gonna hurt, but we gotta get things done.
Ms. Cooper. Mr. Weaver. So it carries 4-1. Doesn't mean that's what it's going to be, but that means what can't be over. So item number 9, discuss, review, and take any necessary action related to setting the time and date for fiscal year 2024 budget hearing.
So in your packets, you have the calendar for the budget. It'll look a little bit like this, August 28th timeline. So what we need from you all is on setting the time and date to actually hold the budget hearing, and the next item, which will be the tax rate hearing. So this is just to say pretty much that you will hold the hearing on August 28th. And then at a certain time, we start our meetings at 7 o'clock. So if you want to say 7:10, 7:20, and the next item, maybe 7:25, give it some 5 minutes, because there is a hearing portion of it. That will be how you set the time and date for this item. And the reason we're doing this is because it's going to be the one that's posted in the newspaper that will have to go out tomorrow.
The date's pretty much the 28th at the time we need to figure out.
Yes. And I believe last year y'all did 7:10, 7:15, something like that.
That way to get us through the opening.
Yeah.
Roll call, quorum, pledge, prayer, any boards and commissions, and then
Motion that we set it for the 28th, 7:10, 7:15.
We'll do one item and then the next.
Okay. So 7:10 for the budget hearing.
we got a Philip Weaver motion to set the time at 7:10 p.m. I'm gonna give her more space in my lines. We got a 7:10 p.m. motion, and a Mr. Gilmore has seconded that motion. All in favor? That carries 5-0. So the budget hearing will be at 7:10 p.m., not before 7 p.m., 7:10 p.m. And item number 10, same thing, discuss, review, take any necessary action related to setting time and date for fiscal year 2024 tax rate hearing. Got to set the budget hearing, and you got to have the tax rate hearing.
I'll make the motion for 7:20 and 28.
7:20 p.m. Mr. Weaver's made a motion to set the tax rate hearing at 7:20 p.m. Jesse Luna has seconded that. All in favor? That carries 5-0. So it's really important times because we cannot start one before those times are posted. Okay. Item number 10, discuss, review, take any necessary action related to setting time. Never mind. I already did that one. Number 11, discuss, review, take any necessary action related to adopt a standard poll attachment agreement. All right. Now we're getting into
So
fun stuff.
you recall, this is from the last meeting. We did make that amendment of having the insurance moved down to 1 million, just to be in line with others that we see in the industry. We did review this with our attorney and everything looked great to him as well. So this is the licensing agreement that we would use as others are looking to do any pole attachments. And it would be $12 per pole that they would have to pay.
This would be a standard set for any other entity that's coming attached to those as well.
Yes, this would be the standard agreement that they have to follow and sign if they want to attach to our poles.
So if you look down on top of page 4, bottom of page 3 to page 4, the rate, section 4.1, the rate, licensee shall pay through licensure for attachments made to the licensed poles under the agreement, annual rental at the rate of, gonna fill in $12 per pole here, right? Per year for,
That'll be something that's decided per agreement. It's a little repetitive and we can strike that, but
okay. So this will be our adopted pole attachment agreement. All right. Need a motion or no motion?
I make the motion that we accept the pole attachment agreement as written.
Second.
Mr. Weaver has made a motion with a Jesse Luna second. Jesse must have brisket on the grill. He's ready to go home. All in favor?
No.
All in favor? All against? I carry 5-0. All right. Item number 12, discuss, review, take any necessary action to approve a resolution changing bank signatories.
so this item is to add me onto the bank account. That way I can see our full financial picture and have full access to the accounts.
So Joseph left, Myra's in. Makes no sense to have Joseph on there. We need to have Myra on there. Business as usual. Just need motion. Resolution. So the resolution, can you read the resolution number?
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Florida, establishing signatures on the city, all city of Florida bank accounts at Bank South, providing for an effective date, designation, signatures of all the city of Florida, Texas financing documents and ordering other provisions related to this subject. And this is from our, they're used to reading on that.
Honestly, I just needed the resolution number.
That'll do.
202-3081-4-12.
One question there, Chad.
Fantastic.
Bancorp South is Cadence Bank now.
Cadence Bank. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a local bank.
Bank second, except your house.
So Mr. Jones has made a motion to approve resolution number 20230814-12 for the changing of the bank signatories. Mr. Weaver has seconded that. All in favor? Totally got lost there for a second. Felt like Joe Biden there for a minute. I'm sorry. Motion carries. Motion carries 5-0. Forgive me, President. So we'll get that changed over. That's like,
You want free cocaine tonight?
totally got lost. Don't put that in the paper.
But it's on recording.
No executive session tonight. Thank God. No. Oh, I guess any future agenda items? Besides the tax rate hearing and budget hearing and stuff. No future agenda items.
I mean, I have my worksheet, but this is council driven, so if y'all have any that we need to include as well.
we'll talk about it. I'm sorry, did you say something?
Oh, no, I just said that he looked at me and I said, well, I have my own list, but this is the council driven item. If they all have anything they need to add.
Council, y'all have anything you want to add? No. Nothing at all? Fine. We'll never have another agenda. I need that last motion, Ms. Cooper.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Ms. Cooper has made a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Man, y'all way too slow. Gail jumped right out in front of y'all.
Say what,
I
Gail?
need to work on my signature.
Gail Jones seconded, and we'll call the meeting at 8:27 PM. Oh, I already signed that, but I'll sign this one.
Wait for your neighbor's job,
Cool.
Finger.